My best guy friend just told me he's in love with me 2 days before my wedding. I've been with my fiance for 3 years, engaged for a little over a year. My best friend and I have known each other since freshman year of college. We are all in our early 30s. This morning, I woke up to a long-ass text from my guy best friend that he had sent around 6 a.m. Basically, it was him pouring his heart out. He said he's always been in love with me for years, but always hoped I'd end up breaking up with my fiance and finally noticing him. He asked me to call off the wedding and run away with him. It said I needed to tell you before it was too late. I just feel gross and sad. I have no feelings for him beyond platonic love. I've drafted a response and deleted it over and over. I haven't even told my fiance. I don't want him to have to worry about me so soon to our wedding. I know I need to, but I don't know what to do or how to phrase it. What's worse is he's become my fiance's friend too. I'm also pretty pissed that my friend chose such an unfortunate time to cause me such distress. There were so many times over the years he could have just bucked up and told me how he felt. But waiting until right before I'm married? Like, I would just cancel my wedding and leave my fiance because of a goddamn text? I want to tell him to not come to the wedding. I can't trust that he wouldn't try to pull something. I don't even know if I want to talk to him again, but the thought of losing my best friend is heartbreaking. Hell, the thought of not having him at my wedding is really painful. He's put me in an uncomfortable, impossible situation. I wish it wasn't on me to deal with his feelings for him. I wish he had either stopped being friends with me when he had realized us ending up together would never happen, or had told me a while ago. I don't want to kick him while he's down, but I need to make it clear that I have no feelings. The wedding is still on, and I don't want him to attend. We have been friends for over a decade. I've been crying over this all day. I feel almost disgusted knowing this whole time he had ulterior motives. How do I even go about dealing with this? I'm supposed to get married in under 48 hours. I poured cement into someone's open car window. This happened in the 3rd grade, and I was dared to. My friend dared me to, and he had a bucket of what I would assume was cement outside of his house. He kept pressuring me, saying it'll be funny and to not be a wimp. I felt so bad for weeks my stomach would hurt. I went back the next day and the window was closed, and it looks like it was cleaned somewhat. My friend then blackmailed me, saying if I didn't give him my cafeteria cookies, they were amazing, he's going to tell on me. I gave in for a few weeks until one day I just didn't, and nothing happened, of course. I deeply regret doing this. Fuck you, Daniel, you skeet. I scratched my brother's car, and I don't know if I should tell him or not. For context, I love my brother so much, and we have a great relationship. Today, as I was parking in front of my parents' house, I accidentally scratched my brother's car, and it was a very simple scratch, and you wouldn't even notice unless you look closely enough. I damaged my car as well, but then again, it was a very mild damage and can easily be fixed, and it would be cheap to fix it. I don't have enough money at the moment to be able to fix both of our cars. I'm pretty sure my brother would refuse to take money from me to fix his car, but still, I'd like to pay. Just not now. Until I have enough money. Right now, my brother doesn't know anything, and I'm sure if he left, he won't notice it at all. I'm very scared. I feel like I don't want to tell him because I don't know what his reaction will be. Should I tell him? Am I the asshole for filing a complaint about a hospital worker trying to touch my baby? Yesterday I had a doctor's appointment that I had to bring my 7th-month son with. Appointment went fine, but afterwards I had to head downstairs to the lab to get some blood drawn. While I'm waiting in line to check in, another woman walks up to me and starts asking about my son. Boy or girl? How old is he? Meanwhile, he is in his stroller sleeping with a blanket over the whole front so it's darker and gives off the chill sleep vibes inside the stroller. This woman proceeded to lift up the blanket to peek inside at my son. Immediately responded with, in a slightly annoyed tone, he's sleeping right now. He's been having a rough time with naps during the day, so he was very cranky earlier. Which is mom code for don't wake up my baby, don't touch my baby. Right after I told this lady that he was sleeping, she looked up at me and said, oh, okay, really fast in a hushed tone. Then continued to try to stick her hand further in the stroller under the blanket, like she was just going to be quiet now instead of taking the hint. So at that point, I was mad and snapped, don't touch my baby, I don't know you, and I already said he is sleeping. She had the nerve to tell me it was okay because she worked there at the hospital. That just made me even more mad, so I asked her, so then are you here to draw my blood too since you work here and you can do everything? She then said how rude that was and how she just wanted to congratulate me on my baby. She told me that it was a shame motherhood didn't turn me into a sweet person who wanted to show off and brag about my baby like it does for everyone else. As she walked away, the counter opened up for me to check in, and I asked to file a complaint about her being so rude and trying to touch my baby. The woman at the counter said I could and would give me the info I needed for that. Then asked if I was sure I wanted to complain because lots of people like touching babies here. Usually the mom isn't super upset about it. I was literally flabbergasted that she would say that to me, so I turned around and left the whole goddamn hospital because I feel like I could cause a nuclear breakdown coming. I called the hospital later and explained what happened and that I needed to reschedule. The woman on the phone apologized on behalf of the hospital, said she would file the complaint for me. Now that I've simmered down, I do sort of feel like a Karen-ish because I've never filed a complaint about anyone before, but I'm still so mad about the way they talked to me at the clinic.
Am I the asshole for canceling a check of $12,000 that I wrote for my infertile friend for her next IVF cycle over a joke? I, 35 female, am infertile. My ex-husband and I tried everything to have kids, but it never happened. He divorced me, went and married someone younger who was able to give him a kid, and from what I gather, they're expecting a second child together. It hurts like hell seeing someone else have what I couldn't. I get frustrated with myself sometimes, and with my family blaming me for basically everything. I turn to my friend for support, especially Alyssa. She's in the same infertility boat as me, but her and her husband are currently trying IVF, hoping it'd work. Alicia asked me for help to pay for her upcoming IVF cycle. I agreed to write her a check of $12,000. I really wanted to help her, and the money came with no strings attached. I wrote the check and gave it to her last week. She was very appreciative of it. The very next day, I got a sudden message from a mutual friend, Carol, with a screenshot of the conversation she had with Alicia. Turns out she and Alicia were talking about the next IVF cycle, and Alicia said she hoped the cycle would work because she didn't want to end up divorced and having her husband go marry someone younger and have a baby with them, and another on the way, while she's alone and without a family at 35. She's 32. I was stunned and hurt. I knew she meant me here. I didn't confront her. I simply contacted my bank and canceled the check. In the evening, Alicia called and asked why I canceled the check, and I told her. She went crazy, saying she didn't mean it that way, and she thought that it was somewhat an inside joke between desperate and fertile women. She came over with her husband the next day, begging I write another check, but I refused. Part 2 of Am I the Asshole for canceling a check of $12,000 that I wrote for my infertile friend for her next IVF cycle over a joke? An argument ensued, and her husband thought I wasn't being supportive of her, like when she supported me throughout my struggles. She left crying, and we haven't talked since then. Her husband keeps reminding me of the date of the next cycle, saying they can't have it after I took the money that was supposed to pay for it back. Some friends think I'm being oversensitive. Carol's on my side, telling me to tell them to go to hell, but I feel so bad about it. What I've done might just damage our 15 years of relationship. Maybe I shouldn't have canceled it, but just felt so offended by what she said about me and how she basically mocked my unfortunate circumstances. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Update. Hello again, and wow, thank you so much for all the support and compassion that you've shown me. I can feel it through my screen, LOL. I have decided I'm going to put some distance between me and Alicia. Things have been rough lately, and I think the distance is what I need right now, especially for my mental health. After reading some comments here, I feel less heavy and more relieved. Doesn't change the fact that I still feel completely and utterly shocked by Alicia's behavior. It's a shame having to come to the realization that even those who supported you the most could cause so much harm. By the way, I sent Carol a link to this thread to see what her thoughts were, and she just laughed. She was kind of angry that I used her real name, but relieved that I used a throwaway. Am I the asshole for introducing my hookup partners to my sister every time they come over? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 22 male, stay with my sister, 26 female, while I'm in university. We've always been close. I'm not interested in a relationship right now and have been hooking up with girls. I bring a girl home often after I go out drinking. My sister works, but she never said anything until recently. The next morning, after a girl left, my sister told me how she was kind of uncomfortable with all these girls she doesn't know coming over. I told her no problem. The next time I had a girl come over, I knocked on her bedroom and introduced the girl I was with to her. She didn't say anything, and we both went back to my room. I did this 2 to 3 times with different girls. The next morning after the third, my sister started yelling at me, and the girl I was with left quietly. My sister yelled at me and said I needed to stop, and that I was embarrassing her in her own house. Normally, I would just dismiss what she was saying as sibling fights, but she seemed angry with me. So am I the asshole?